Yeah, so we operate across more or less all sectors. You've got a sort of a grid there in terms of the type of work we undertake, which is quite a mixed bag. But in the local Winchester office, we've got a bit of a niche with our port and marine work, which I'll come on to hopefully shortly, just to demonstrate some of the case studies and projects we've been involved with. So we've got architecture is very much our core with regard to the scope of service we provide, but also we are multidisciplinary. We provide a range of services such as landscape and interior design, amongst others you can hopefully see there. So yeah, an interesting sort of diverse mix and range of services and sectors. So I recently acquired, I think it's the next slide, I recently acquired the title of Head of Port and Marine. So I'm going to hopefully quickly gallop through some of the projects we've been engaged with in the past and more currently. So hopefully you will see that one. One of the more glamorous ones we're involved with at the moment. We've got a image in the bottom left is a photo of the Ocean Cruise Terminal, which we completed in 2009. We worked on 3 phases of the terminal over the years, basically to accommodate the increasing size of vessels. So the big sort of, we've got barrel-shaped building can cope with ships with a capacity of up to 4,000 passengers. It's got 40 check-in desks, 1,500 chairs, and I think the baggage hall is circa 350 feet, so a big old structure. More recently, the other photos, the top photo and the bottom right one, are images of the new cruise terminal that we're currently engaged with at ABP. So we developed the project through the technical stages, and we're now on site with the contractor, and that's due to finish mid this year. You might have seen some coverage of that in the media variously, so it's getting a reasonably high profile. We're quite excited about the architectural side of it. Hopefully it will provide a fantastic sort of flagship facility for the port in the near future. It's characterized by these big glulam beams that you can hopefully see in the images. It'll create quite a sort of a distinctive architectural, hopefully, icon for the port. So moving on, in terms of our sort of cruise experience, slightly further afield, we've also been involved with Liverpool Cruise Terminal. It's another big, exciting project. We've outlined planning for that in March 2018, and we served matters in August 2019. So we've just completed the technical design by our Manchester office, and we're currently working with the contractor to try and push things forward on that one. That's a large £50 million project. I'd say just further up the country in Liverpool, but once again some fun with the architecture on that one, and yeah, once again hopefully a flagship for that particular port in the near future. Slightly less glamorous, but more projects at Southampton Port. The bottom right image is a project we completed in November last year. So that is a new border control post for DP World, who occupy a large part of the site down at Southampton Port. So originally we undertook a large master plan study for them to look at their facilities, and that helped arrive at the decision to build this new port health building. So the building split over 3 floors. It provides inspection facilities as well as welfare and office accommodation, and we completed that in November last year. So we had some fun with that one. All went on time, all went on budget, so a happy client at the end of it. The other project, the top right one, is a building called E208. That's a new 18,500 square metre warehouse building. It's actually an extension to an existing facility for import services. So the warehouse is a large portal frame. It's got extensive internal racking, and it also includes a 2-storey pod alongside the main warehouse building for staff facilities, and that's due to complete in the middle of this year. I will quickly name check Midas, who are the main contractor on that one. I know Ian Dewhurst sometimes sits in on this session, so he won't forgive me if I don't quote him on that. Next slide. So more port projects slightly further afield. So image on the right, so a quick snapshot from the model for a project we're doing down at Portsmouth Port at the moment to provide their new border control facilities. So that's ongoing. We're developing the technical drawings for that at the moment with the main contractor. There's a big rush on that one. All the work needs to be completed by July this year. The world's gone a little bit mad for border control posts recently with the big sort of Brexit push, as a result of which a lot of ports have applied for funding for these border control facilities. And in theory, they've got to be completed by July. So a lot of pressure on those. And Portsmouth were actually delivering, we started out by designing 2 buildings for them, which provide inspection facilities for one of them's for live animals, and the other one's for products of animals and plant origin. So that's an interesting one, fast and furious. We're also looking at another border control facility for Plymouth Port with ABP, which is a similar sort of thing. And further afield again, image on the left, just a quick sort of semi-aerial view of Dover. So we're one of the framework suppliers for architectural services down there. So over the past few years, we've been doing various projects and exercises for them. Last year, I completed a building strategy for the Eastern Docks down there, which is quite an interesting piece of work, which ended up extending over to the Western Docks and basically looks at the assets across the port, just to understand their operational requirements and to explore opportunities to rationalise really some of the buildings. We're also due to embark on a new project down there in the hopefully very near future, looking at their outbound controls facilities and improvements there, just to improve the queuing, lane improvements, improve buffer zone, etc., just to try and reduce the backlog of traffic as it enters the port. That's quite a high profile one, obviously at the forefront of all the sort of the Brexit discussions at the moment. Not sure I'm doing in my 5 minutes, Lorna. I'm sure you'll cut me short if I'm over.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of spare. You've probably got about another minute, if that's
1 minute. Okay, no, okay, right. So lastly, and testing the boundaries in terms of sort of the port and marine sector. This is a quick snapshot of some of the other sort of diverse range of projects that we sort of dabble with. Still with a bit of a watery theme, so they all sit on or alongside the water. The top left one is Porter's Head Quays, and Porter's Head in Somerset. That's a residential led scheme that we produced for Crest Nicholson, and that provides 8 townhouses and I think it's 60 apartments which face onto the marina down there. The top right image is a project we did at a place called Great Bow Yard down in Somerset again. It's another resi scheme for 12 low energy homes on the edge of the river near Langport in Somerset, and that's highly sustainable. It was a very pioneering project at the time and embodies all sorts of interesting sustainable features, bells and whistles. So we've got a lot of exposure from that at the time. It's won various awards for its environmental credentials. The bottom right one is a project we've been involved with down at Great Western Dockyard. That's for 145 apartments as part of a mixed-use scheme down in the sort of the harbour regeneration area of Bristol, next to Brunel's SS Great Britain iron ship. So an interesting one down there that's now been completed. And lastly, just to really sort of close things out, this project is a place called Heartlands down in Cornwall, more of an urban sort of coastal regeneration project where we look to transform a lot of long time derelict and contaminated former mining buildings into a new visitor attraction that's really been a hit down there in the western coast of Cornwall. So really exceeded the expectations in terms of visitor numbers. And like I said, a good success story in terms of regeneration in a coastal environment where it's really sort of revived its fortunes. So that's a bit of a cross section. And lastly, I'm just going to close out on a couple of images with regard to some of our educational links. I know it's a sort of common theme at these sessions, just trying trying to facilitate links between education and industry, which is something we obviously fully endorse. We take part in the big interview. We do that with Bitton Park School in Southampton, where the students are matched with professionals from their possible sort of future career choice, and we always find that to be quite a rewarding experience, hopefully for ourselves and the students. And on the right, just a little image just to explain that we take part in the student mentoring scheme with Portsmouth University, the third year architecture students there, where they're allocated a local practice and they get insights into the profession. And the result of that, we typically take on 1 or 2 students each year from the graduate scheme. So that's really really good in that respect, and we're able to sort of reciprocate. So that's it. I mean, hopefully that's the 5 minutes. It's a bit of a whistle stop tour through some of the stuff we do, a little bit of an insight with regards to the types of projects. I try to give it a bit of a port and marine bias. That's the kind of the hat that I wear in the office. We're all quite a big practice. It is a bit of a misconception. Big practice, big projects, big fees. We do all sorts of projects. So if anybody out there has got any building needs, building requirements, please feel free to give me a call if anybody wants any info or a bit more detail on those projects. And once again, there's my email address. Happy to talk to anybody. And I think, yeah, this group's obviously a good forum which covers a range of subject matter. So please, yeah, give me a bell if I can help out with anything. And I've glanced over quite a lot of those projects. I can go into more detail if you need, or if anybody's interested. So please feel free to get in touch.
That's super. That's super, Ben. Thank you. And it's wonderful to see that there's so much investment going into maritime nationwide, actually, and the Cranbourne work. I mean, that's an area of high deprivation, isn't it? So it's really good to see that happening down there. Yeah. I'm thinking that you and I need to create a CPD session for careers advisors about design careers in maritime. Anyway, I'll come back to you separately on that one. Anyone else got any quick questions for Ben whilst we're here? I'm not seeing any in the chat. We've got a little bit of time at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I chat to 1 or 2 of the attendees here offline anyway, but yeah, by all means, get in touch and
brilliant.
Take it from there.
Can I ask you to stop sharing your screen now then, please?
You can.
And we'll move on to Matthew. I saw you was here earlier. Matthew Jensen?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you ready to take over?
Ready to take over, yeah. So I'll just share the screen. Okay, could you just let me know you can see that?
We can, yeah. Yeah.
Good, excellent. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Matthew Jensen from Fraserline. Fraserline Architecture, or Fraserline Design, or Fraserline Geospatial. So much like the previous presentation, we will also get involved in architecture. But we also get involved on some of the, not just land, but also some of the onboard base side of marine as well. So a little bit about us. We were founded in 2016 as a small practice. As you can see, we've worked with a number of different land-based and also marine-based clients as well. And we've got a multi-channel approach to projects. So that's everything from architecture, project management. We get involved a lot with DFMA. Really, we put in anything required to essentially look after the asset for the overall brief of the client. I've selected some projects today, more marine focus, and this is kind of our niche within our business anyway. We get involved mostly with the cruise industry, and that's on board refit, revitalization. We don't tend to do much on the new build per se, but we have done. But I'll just flick through. I won't go into too much detail on each of these projects because I could be here all day. So I'll just sort of flick through some examples. So for instance, we've recently been involved with expedition liners. We've looked after a local fleet, UK based, for the revitalisation of what we call Island Sky class liners. These are ships that go out to Antarctica and designed to very much be on the expedition side of things rather than the leisure. And this is very much looking at the ship refit from a competitor set analysis. So making sure that these vessels are in line with the brand competitors, and obviously changing anything on board that might certainly add value to the passenger experience. We have been involved with high capacity master planning for certainly the larger, bigger guys out there. As you see, this one was actually for a concept for Royal Caribbean International. So we have been involved with that, and there's some very nice, very enjoyable projects we've been involved with that, but mostly it's more on the revitalisation and refurbishment side. On the luxury side of cruise liners, we've been involved in some very interesting parcels of refit. So this, for instance, is an entertainment space rollout across a particular fleet. And it's working with a great project team we have in place, AV, specialist services, all that have an IMO and marine-based capability, and understand exactly how to roll a refit on a particular liner. Leisure liners, sometimes we have a case where it's changing a ship use from just to keep up with the current trend in tourism. So this is very much the typical line. Unfortunately, this one's no longer around due to COVID, but this was a brief where we had to change the interior experience to fit more of a leisure-based requirement. And recently we've been involved with classic liners. So taking very old, this ship, for instance, was laid down into the 60s. So, and it's had a series of different uses across its life. And it's very much about preserving the conservation of the ship. Also thinking about the heritage aspect, as well as wearing a different hat, which is understanding the remedial and upgrade works to the ship to make it fit for modern SOLAS IMO requirements. So that basically the passenger would expect all the modern amenities that you would with any cruise ship. Defence ships, many years ago, 2016, we were involved with 2 spaces on board HMS Queen Elizabeth, which was the design for the Admiral's dining room and the Royal Wardroom. So this was a very one-off project we were involved with and quite enjoyable. This was, as everyone probably knows, a BAE Systems project, and we worked with a local Southampton outfitter to deliver. And not just on the cruise side, but also on the new build ferry concept design. Probably many of you can recognise the brand. Just looking at different ideas of onboard touch points to improve the overall passenger experience. And finally, this slide just to conclude that we do get involved in so many different aspects of the onboard outfitting. So it's not just about the architecture or the interior design, it's also about things like wayfinding. At the moment, we're looking at smart systems on board, things working with digital to look at how that passenger experience can overall be improved, and to certainly improve the operations for the operator as well. But I'm just going to go on to our newest area of focus, which is something that we're trying to push very hard on with the idea of laser scanning and digitalization. Now, digitalization being certainly fundamental with Industry 4.0, the maritime capability to use what we do, what our knowledge of architecture, and to certainly increase the presence of digitalization. So we've started to offer geospatial scanning, which is certainly a great way, a first node of, and this is not just for the cruise industry, this is basically for both land, the whole maritime sector. It really doesn't matter what the asset is, whether it be a ship or even a platform, for instance, where we can take our scanners on board and we can scan the asset, basically whatever is required. So we've got a range of different capabilities, both externally and internally. So what are the benefits to our scanning? Well, we have just invested in some very comprehensive scanning equipment, and we can basically get condition defect reporting. We can create a digital twin. It's great if there is work being carried out within the industry or within on board. We can actually monitor that through our scanning capability. We can form asset inventories, and also provide very accurate to up to 6mm measured surveys. So like this chap here, who's basically taking our instrument on board a Sunseeker vessel to scan it. So it's a very simple process that we've become quite accustomed to. And what we can get out of it is we can form Scan audit reports, we can give you a 3D scan data for specialist inspection. We can take it further and form a digital twin, which can be used for simulation or whatever is required. As I said earlier about the inventory condition reporting, we can really use the scanning to whatever, cut the cloth to whatever you require, really. And finally, the asset management system is something that forms the digitalization capability we're offering now. We've partnered with a number of different providers where we can actually provide a digital twin system on board. So taking your as-built asset, putting it into the digital system that can be then used for facilities management, maintenance across the whole life of the ship. And we can also incorporate things like Internet of Things sensors and real-time sensing capabilities to essentially make sure that your asset is performing to its best ability. Finally, that's me. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, my details are on this slide. I'll now hand over to the next speaker.
It was fascinating, Matthew. Absolutely fascinating. This digital twin system, I'm interested in that. I just think young people's minds would be blown if they knew what was out there. I'm not sure that young people who are interested in design, whether they're even thinking about this sort of stuff. We need to make sure that information's getting into the schools, but that was really interesting. Any questions for anybody? I can't see any hands up. Maybe you've just blown their minds, you and Ben.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a compliment. That was a compliment. Okay, moving on. Our next speaker is Monica. It's from the Fareham Innovation Centre. Are you there? Ah, there you are, ready to go. Can I hand over to you then, Monica? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning. I will share my screen. Hope it's working.
Yeah, that's good.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can. Thank you.
Perfect. So good morning, everyone. My name is Monika Dabrowska, and I am from a company called Oxford Innovation. Oxford Innovation is UK's leading innovation and incubation centre operator. We manage 26 centres across the UK, and my role is being the innovation director in 2 our centres in the south. Fareham Innovation Centre and Ocean Village Innovation Centre in Southampton. Fareham Innovation Centre is located at the Solent Airport, at the lee on the Solent. It's a beautiful, very spacious building. And in our centres, we are having the gateway policy. It means we are welcome some particular companies, including marine, engineering, aviation, and advanced manufacturing industries. In Fareham Innovation Centre, we are having 55 offices. We are having 20 workshops and conference and meetings rooms. In our centers, we are keeping the governmental COVID regulations, keeping distance, so our tenants feel safe and they can work confident from the offices. Another center that I represent is Ocean Village Innovation Centre in Southampton, and this center is based in the Ocean Village Marina. We are having there 67 offices as well as meetings rooms. The same in this center, we are having gateway policy, and we welcome marine and engineering companies, as well as creative digital companies. Again, in our center, we are keeping social distancing, and we are very aware about keeping our our tenants confident and in the safe environment. What is unique in our center? We are providing business support for our tenants. And my role in these centers as innovation director is to provide coaching, advising. My expertise is in grants and funding. I'm helping businesses with business models, business planning. I also help and signpost to different organizations. We are working very close with Solent LEP, with local universities, as well as colleges. Having over 100 tenants in these two centers, I'm also helping companies to connect each other, because sometimes what is happening, that one tenant doesn't know who is his neighbor. Within my role, I'm also signposting to other organizations, including also Innovate UK, KTN, external coaches and specialists. And also I'm hosting and running different events, innovation showcases, clinics, and also at this moment, in these circumstances, we are providing and we are delivering lots of webinars. I'm just listening our tenants, what is the most important for their benefit, to help them to grow and prosper their companies. And of the result of our business support, this is one of our good success story. The company based on the Ferrum Innovation Center received funding from Innovate UK, and I had a big pleasure to work with this company on grant application. We were successful. So this is just one of many good and successful stories in our centers. Thank you.
That's perfect. Thank you. Has anyone got any questions for Monica before we move on? Monica, I've got a question. Are the people that work in your centres, is this all business startups? Is this the first premises for them beyond working from home? So they move from home into a centre like yours, and then these business startups are supported and nurtured. I imagine there comes a point when they then move out of that environment as well into their own premises. Is that generally what happens?
Yes, we welcome every type of companies. It can be startup, it can be also well-established companies. However, we are here to help companies to grow and innovate. We have created the environment to allow and to help companies to move on. And ideally, we would like to see these companies having 50 employees, having their own premises. We would like to be a very important part of their journey.
Okay. And have you got anyone there that's working on clean maritime or carbon net zero projects?
We are having, yes, like one of this company, a RAD propulsion that I showed. We have different companies in marine industry as well, including consulting companies, and all our members you can find on our website.
Okay.
Yes. So this is a brief and overview. I am also a contact point if you are looking for some particular company, and I am more than welcome to signpost and make the relevant introduction.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Right, that's lovely. I don't think you're sharing your screen anymore. I think you've taken that back. Moving swiftly on, our next speaker is Omar. There you are. Hello.
Morning. How's everyone doing today? Good?
Absolutely fine. Over to you, Omar.
Right. I'm just going to share my screen and then hopefully we'll be underway. Bear with me a second.
Yeah.
Can everyone see that?
Yep.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, thank you. It's Omar here at University of Portsmouth. I work specifically within degree apprenticeships and work-based degrees. So I thought it would be useful today to give you a quick overview of what we're available to offer you as a way of support and courses within Maritime at the university. Some of you may not know that degree apprenticeships were introduced around 2015. They are very similar to your conventional, potentially historic apprenticeships where someone is employed and salaried, but they're able to study level 6 and level 7 qualifications. Delivered very similar in the fact at the moment, that's a lot of it's blended learning. So as much as I'd like to do face-to-face, majority at the moment is online and some face-to-face in some courses. The degree apprenticeships themselves can last anywhere from 1 to 6 years, depending on a candidate's previous qualification. And they still enjoy that 20% off the job training, which is really fundamental within any apprenticeship scheme. And obviously they still enjoy the same benefits as you would any of your current or future employees with regards to holiday and sick pay. Some of the areas that we're working with at the moment at the university that we do have maritime businesses studying with us are our senior leader, which is the MBA, charter management, risk and safety management, embedded electronics, manufacturing engineers and project management. We also offer a postgraduate engineer level for anyone who's looking to become a chartered engineer status with any of those engineering or manufacturing businesses. And all of these are funded through the degree apprenticeship scheme. So as I mentioned before, they're delivered through both online learning and face-to-face, teaching by professionals and academics. Really importantly, most of the work is done through work-based learning, so the projects do have a real impact on your workplace and your business. And we provide dedicated study support throughout the programme in preparing students for the endpoint assessment, which ultimately is the occupational standard for each course. Just as an example there, if you are an SME, at the moment you pay just a 5% contribution towards course fees, with the government supporting the rest there for you of around 95%. So there's a good example there for project management. I think we have someone on the call today who's studying project management with us. The course duration, the course fee, you can see there from an employer's point of view, the contribution is actually relatively low, £1,100 paid over the duration of the course, which makes it very cost effective and accessible for all. But we also have learning at work courses, which are separate work-based degrees, and we do offer a maritime studies option within this programme. So candidates can study at level 6 and level 7. Level 6 is suitable for some candidates who may have had an HND in maritime studies or maritime systems engineering, and the masters there is suitable for people maybe that have come from a bit more experienced engineering background or seafaring background, and I can provide information on the pathways a bit further on down the line. Not funded, unfortunately, through the degree apprenticeship scheme, but as you can see there, you know, the price up there is relatively quite reasonable compared to a full-time degree. We offer different areas there, so engineering studies, business management, occupational health and safety, level 6 and level 7 engineering project management, which might be more specific to your area of interest. And learning at work is delivered, it's really studied at the own pace of the candidates. There's no restriction on whether you're self-employed or whether you're a micro business or a large employer. You don't have to provide 20% of off-the-job training for your candidates, but they must have experience. So we usually accept people that have got level 4 qualification or significant experience. And funded either through an individual or an employer funded. So, you know, if you have an individual that is looking to build their skills with some staff development and is happy to fund it themselves, the loans may be available to support that, with the basis of their work being your line of work. And you can pick modules that appeal to your business as well. So it really is a very flexible way of upskilling within the maritime and engineering industry. We've got some of the businesses we worked for in the past. You know, businesses like Whitelink, Saab CI, Hover Travel are all maritime businesses that we've helped to impact through our work-based training delivery. So ultimately, it's a work-based project that have a real impact on professional development and also the individual. So it really is something that people value and employers value as well, especially if they're looking to develop those skills. So in a nutshell, that was work-based learning and degree apprenticeships from the university. I've tried to keep it under 5 minutes. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop me an email or reach out on LinkedIn, or I'm sure Lorna and Will send out details after this presentation. So thank you very much.
That's super, thank you, Omar. There was one question forming in my mind, which was about the work-based learning, what the entry requirements were. And you'd said a level 4 or significant experience. So this would be, I guess, a sort of a consultation service that you could offer to an employer if they were looking at their succession planning. And we had a conversation when we were doing the work for the Institute of Technology bid, and we had colleagues from industry that were saying there's a gap in the market, if you like, for where you want to turn an engineer into an engineering manager, highly skilled individual, been with the business a long time, knows the products and the production line inside out, knows the business inside out. But in order to help that person develop, you need to turn them from that skill master craftsman potentially, or woman, into a manager within that discipline. And that was something I know Portsmouth were talking about when we were looking at the IoT bid, but there's more opportunity there as well, isn't there?
It's something that we do come across relatively regularly, especially within engineering sectors, to be honest with you, because as you say, people are highly skilled individuals that they're offered promotion because they are good at their job, and potentially they move into a role where they finish on a Friday as one of the team and then come in on the Monday as a manager, and it puts a bit of a division between them and some of their colleagues. And so the management pathways, for example, that we offer do provide that support and looking at kind of leading change, managing conflict resolution, those aspects which they may not have much experience of. But from a learning at work point of view, from an individual that wants to build upon the skills they've got, if they have relatively good experience, especially within some of the engineering sectors or the maritime studies, for example, we wouldn't be able to accept people that had no experience whatsoever to do that, because we're expecting some of the terminology and some of their prior knowledge to be there. But from an apprenticeship point of view, certainly we have people that join us that are established within their careers, maybe pivoting to a different role that needs some of that support, and that's where we're seeing a lot of the growth with our programs, because people do recognize that to build upon these skills you do need to give the individual the tools, because you can't set them up to fail as they move forward. So yeah, it's definitely something we can support with.
And it's interesting that one of the payment options is £26 a month. That's it's not, when in my experience and previously in FE, obviously I was at Eastleigh College for a long time, it was a question of no, the employer pays upfront, bang. And that's not me disrespecting Eastleigh College, at all. But it used to be that individuals could be offered payment plans essentially, but the employers had to pay that full amount upfront. But it's nice to see that you're giving that flexibility.
I also come from an FE background as well, and it was a bit of a culture change for me, because usually we say no, we need obviously the contribution up front, but I think we're also really aware that things can happen. Some of our programs, for example, are 5 years long. Architecture, for example, is 8 years because it's 2 4-year blocks, and some things can happen, and then ultimately we have to obviously recognise that could have an impact on people's employment. So we prefer to do it in stages. And then, rather than pay up front and we refund you, because that's not what we're about. We're not trying to make money out of it, we're trying to support it. So yeah.
No, brilliant. Thank you. Any questions from anybody else, or have we stunned you all into silence again? This is working a treat, isn't it? Thank you, Omar. That was really useful. So moving on, our next speaker is Barry. Barry, are you there?
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. I'll just share my screen, just check that works. Can everyone see the Liberty HVAC logo?
Yes, thank you.
We can, fantastic. Good morning to everyone on this very wet and drizzly day in Lyon, Solent. I think we're all probably in need of a cup of coffee soon, with all these presentations, but if you can hang on for a little while longer, and I'll keep this hopefully to around sort of 3 or 4 minutes. As you can see, our company is Liberty HVAC. We have 2 arms to our business. The first arm to our business is we are mechanical design consultants. So we design heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems, humidity control systems. And we work on new builds, working with architects and building owners, but we also work an awful lot on existing buildings. So whereby there are building owners, clients that are looking to consolidate their building, they need to understand the services that within it, what can be retained, what needs to be upgraded, and more importantly, and particularly these days, is the carbon side of things. Can we upgrade or adapt our systems to save energy, reduce the energy costs, etc.? And we do a lot of that sort of work where we are seen as problem solvers, where we go into buildings and we look at existing systems and we update them, save people, get some payback for them on their projects. And that can be a lot of different types of buildings. So that is the first arm to our business: mechanical design, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, humidity control, and a lot more as well, including specialist filtration systems, ionizing, carbon filtration, etc., etc. The second arm to our business is we were approached some time ago now by a Swedish, Scandinavian manufacturer, and they developed a new technology dehumidifier, and they've evolved this technology in Scandinavia, and they approached us as engineers. They built a solid reputation in applying their commercial dehumidifiers in Scandinavia, and they approached us as engineers to ensure that we would protect and build on their reputation within the UK. So to ensure that their products are applied properly. So a little bit of brief insight to why they're so special is that the new technology is very low energy. It's plug and play. So it's there to preserve a building. So protect it from moisture, protect it from damage to the building structure, protect those services that run through the building. So it's all about saving energy, reducing maintenance costs, but also protecting. So we work a lot within the heritage sector. So existing building stock that is slowly decaying, it might not be manned, etc., and they need to control the humidity. We also work with museums, galleries, heritage buildings, and we'd like to work more with the maritime sector, sort of protecting precious items within those buildings, looking after that building. And what we do is we're very passionate about doing the right thing and providing the right solution. So one example would be recently we were approached by a church, and they've got damp issues and big structural issues. So we approached that and we collaborated with a chartered surveyor. So as an example, we don't necessarily apply a dehumidifier, we don't necessarily apply ventilation, nor a heating system. It might be a structural issue. So basically, we provide these dehumidifiers as and when and only when they are required. And our recommendations might be to have an enhanced report from the chartered surveyor and work with a conservation builder. So we're coming up to 4 minutes now. As you can probably tell, I like to talk, but moreover, hopefully I've got across the passion that we have in looking after buildings, looking after the people and those precious things within those buildings, reducing energy and reducing needless capital expenditure on systems that won't solve the problems. We love to solve problems. So yeah, I'm Barry. We are Liberty HVAC, based in very wet and windy Leon, Solent, and we would love to help preserve the buildings and those items within them. HVAC design and dehumidifiers. And I thank you very much for your time.
Have you got any examples of maritime businesses in the Solent that you've worked with already?
No, I'd have to be honest, Lorna, no. we're based here, but we travel all over the country working with the heritage sector. My son-in-law is an officer in the Navy, and I saw the image of the QE that he's actually been working on recently. And we have endless conversations about maritime buildings within the area that would benefit from our design approach, our sort of system solutions and or dehumidifiers. So I've really seen this as an opportunity to raise awareness to how we could help the sort of existing stock, if you like, within the maritime area. I live and love this area, but I travel and work and solve other people's, other counties and other companies' problems.
Okay, well, we now know that you're there and what you can do for us. I take it it's always land-based as well. You're not doing dehumidifying on ships.
We also work, and we've been approached, and we've literally just put a bid in to, there's an intermediate sort of facilities consultancy, and they put a shout out to basically say they're looking at some existing ocean fleet, and they've got significant problems with traditional HVAC air conditioning systems, and they wanted bids, if you like, to actually look at it in an innovative way to provide comfort, control, but low energy use. So again, HVAC is HVAC. It doesn't matter whether it's on a boat, on a ship, or on land. The same physics and the principles apply. So it's all, I guess, with all of us here, it's all about the contacts at the end of the day. We have the skills, but what we're all trying to do is broaden those contacts to provide the solutions that we provide to a bigger audience.
Oh, cool. Well, let's hope that develops, and maybe in a year's time or something, you'll be able to come back and tell us about some projects that you've been doing locally. That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
I sincerely hope so.
Yeah. Any other questions for Barry? Anybody? Not seeing any hands up. No? Okay, thank you very much for that. If we move on to Paul now, thank you. Paul
yes,
Martin.
morning everyone. Morning. Hi there.
Hi.
Let me try and share my screen. Here we go. Is that looking okay?
Yep. Yeah, we can see it. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. So some good presentations to follow on from there. So I'll do my best to keep up on my side. So yeah, morning everyone. My name's Paul Marston. I'm from IDOS Consulting. I wanted to actually start by saying, obviously, you know, we love being a part of this group, and it's really good to see that the skills is being recognised, you know, within this group. And also, you know, the sector's going through really exciting times at the minute as far as skills is concerned. You know, we've seen even, you know, presentations in this group around, you know, automation, manufacturing processes, clean shipping, that kind of thing. But it's really important, of course, that the sector has the skills to match, you know, the requirements moving forward and future needs. Now, I mean, the lack of skills within the sector is often recognised at a national level, you know, indeed through Maritime UK's own reports. But the impact of that is obviously felt at an individual business level, where it can be hard to, you know, attract the right talent and skills you need to deliver to existing customers, but also importantly to stay competitive. So with that being said, who are IDOS Consulting? So we're a learning development consultancy based down in Lyon, Solent. We know Monica quite well. We're down here in the FIC, and we've been supporting businesses throughout the UK, developing skills and capabilities of their workforce. And really what we're focused on is getting businesses to a place where they have the right skills, and importantly, the internal capability to manage those through times of change or innovation. So when we created the business, we brought together many years of working in other heavily regulated industries. We've got a few listed there. So we've done previously a lot of work within UK nuclear. I managed the BAE apprenticeship down in the dockyard for a couple of years, so I know that space quite well. We've done work with the Royal Navy, an awful lot in automotive and some in manufacturing as well. So we know kind of the skills that are required within this area, and we bring all our learnings from that to produce you know, support for maritime, and that's certainly an industry we want to focus on moving forward. So what we're looking to try and do is provide our customers with a structure and a tool set to ensure that they're developing a workforce in a way that ensures it's manageable, it returns an investment there's a return on that training investment. And importantly, we know compliance is a big piece within Maritime as well. So, everything we do is designed to support that. So we offer a wide range of learning development support. We certainly specialise in competency development. We do a lot of things around induction, for example. And I'll tell you in a second about some of the interesting things we're doing there. Skills gap analysis, and that's very important because it's key to understand, if you're looking to move forward as a business, whether it's looking to grow, whether it's looking to, move into a different different area of the sector, for example, you need to know what your baseline skills are within the business, how are your staff supporting you in what you're looking to achieve. So we can map those skills, identify latent skills and everything else as well. Competency and career frameworks. We do in-house mentoring programs and apprenticeship programs as well. I will say we're not an apprenticeship training provider, but what we do, and I'm sure, I know I've spoken to Omar about this previously, he'll support us in this, but we find the best apprenticeship programs out there are the ones where the employer is fully supporting the individual, through that apprenticeship program. So it's not just sending them away to a training provider, it's saying, okay, here's how we're going to support you in-house. Here's the activities we're going to get you to do. So we can help you to map that out. So your apprenticeship programs are really supporting the individual and you as a business, making sure, the things you want to impart onto that individual, your culture and everything else is put across. And then also things like knowledge retention and transfer. So really, we like to be a learning partner throughout the life cycle of your employees, all the way from bringing them in to having them leave the business. Now, I mentioned induction there previously. We're doing some exciting things around induction. It's been really interesting to see, actually, of course, with the lockdown and everything else, some of the L&D elements have slowed down a little bit in-house. We haven't had everyone in the office or working environment, but induction's starting to come back in a big way. I think it's recognised that induction is an important place to start, with how you're developing your new employees. And previously, you may not have had the time to do it or the resources to do it. We're doing a lot of stuff around induction, first of all, remotely, so you can start engaging with new employees even before they start, start telling them about your culture, about your business. But also, for example, in working environments, large working environments, lots of health and safety aspects, we can do, very interactive inductions where, for example, you can put QR codes up on the wall and they can walk around, scan it with a mobile device, and it brings up specific e-learning around, that piece of equipment, that area, that activity. So it makes it really interactive and really useful for what you're doing. Something else that we've got as well, because we appreciate some of this can be a struggle for small businesses. Sometimes, the funding isn't there to have a full learn development program in place. We've got an online service that we call IDOS Essentials, which in essence is an online portal where you can access a large number of templates and how-to guidance on how to carry out a number of learn development activities. So you have that capability now in-house. Your management team can run that. You don't have to, either employ someone at huge expense or bring someone in. It's a cost-saving exercise, but we've taken all our knowledge and put it into those templates and what have you. And I'll certainly put a link to that in the chat after I've done this. And then the other thing that we're doing a lot of as well at the minute, as I'm sure you can appreciate, is e-learning. So, before this whole lockdown and everything that's been going on over the last 12 months, I think e-learning was recognised as a good learning delivery method, but it's certainly come to the fore with all that's been going on. So we've been doing this for a number of years now. We support a lot of colleges along the South Coast. Currently, we're doing a big piece of work with Fareham College through the College Collaboration Fund. So in fact, all further education colleges will benefit from the online learning we're doing. And a big portion of that is within the engineering curriculum. So if anyone has apprentices, I'm sure they're probably going to be coming across our online learning within that programme. But we have a fully managed service. So we've got a background in further education. We know how to pull all the content together. So we do all the storyboarding up front with yourselves. We can bring existing material that you have, for example, in-house learning, we can add that into it. We can do everything fully branded. We can do the layout. So basically it's exactly the online learning that you require, that you want to represent your brand. And we do that on a license-free model. So we're not one of these companies that says, recurring costs and brings in that complexity. Once we built it for you, it's yours. You can do with it as you wish. And that actually brings with it an opportunity. We've seen this quite a lot recently with some of our customers especially within marine. A lot of people do a lot of fantastic in-house training, specifically around health and safety, project management, that kind of stuff. If you've got online learning, it gives you another opportunity to have another revenue stream, because there's other people that are doing that. So why not make it available to everyone else? So we can certainly support you in creating that resource. And as I mentioned there, we're a preferred provider for a lot of FE colleges and also some major UK engineering companies as well. So with that being said, I mean, I know it's a quick whistle-stop tour around everything that we do, but as I said, we like to position ourselves as a bit of a learning partner for you. We've got a lot of experience in everything learning development, and as you can see there, we've done a lot of e-learning as well. So happy to have a chat with anyone if they got any specific needs around workforce development or any questions around it. As I mentioned, I'll add a link into our IDOS Essential service down the bottom. But yeah, thank you very much, and appreciate the opportunity to talk to everyone. Oh, sorry,
I was on mute. Yeah,
there you go.
That's great. Thank you, Paul. I'm wondering if there's any way that your platforms might be able to help us for this virtual work experience that we're talking about and these insight days, because I think whilst there's lots of people on this call and out in the sector anyway that are happy to help, first question is going to be, well, I'm happy to be involved and I can give you a day, that's great, but what is this going to look like? What's the framework like? What platform, because we've got school children, what platform's safe with regards to safeguarding and all the rest of it? I wonder if you and I could have a little conversation about this offline, perhaps.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, and something that we have done actually, it may be of interest, to yourself, Laura, but everyone else as well. We did an apprenticeship mindset online course for Chichester College a while ago. And it was very much for, say kids, but, youngsters entering the workplace and what to expect from employment, so it's things like your own personal branding and timekeeping, what's expected of you in the world of work. So that's certainly something that I'll be happy to talk to you about, but it may be of use to other people who are bringing in, people off of apprenticeship schemes or through schooling, for example.
Yeah. Fantastic. That's brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Any questions for Paul? Anybody? Monica, you've got your hand up.
Yes, so I would like to add that I was and I am delighted to support EIDOS Consulting, and Paul and Joe, they have not only knowledge, they have passion what they are doing, and I really highly recommend to even have a chat with them. They are just nice people.
Very kind.
There you are.
Cheers, very
and
much.
That right there is what a networking event's all about, is it not? The only thing I can't provide for you is the coffee and pastries and bacon rolls. But one day we will be in a world where we can do that sort of thing. And when I sort of raised this with Will and with Stu a few months ago, I said, in the normal world, we would do this as well as the formal agendas. We would just get a chance to get to know each other a little bit. And once things go back to normal, if and when that happens, the plan is that the network would go on a tour, business breakfast tours. Maybe one meeting in 3 would be at one of the network members' premises. We could come and see your premises and feel what it's like to be in your space. So right, so one more speaker. One of our ladies unfortunately had to drop out this morning because she's not well. So we've got Melanie. Saving the best till last, Melanie. No pressure. We're doing fine. We're doing absolutely fine for time. So the floor is yours.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Lorna. Well, mine's not going to be a very long presentation anyway. I don't have any slides. It's just me. I co-founded OESMA, sorry, Melanie Foster. Good morning, everyone. I co-founded OESMA back in September 2020, and it came out of a need that I could see for sales and business development professionals and marketing professionals working in the maritime sector, the broad maritime sector, so from shipping to marine biology to all of the different sectors that form the blue economy, that had to pivot from face-to-face events and meeting their clients in person to having to move online. And I'd come from a technology background where we were already doing a lot of our marketing and sales activity online. So we launched in September 2020. We had very small ambitions. Myself and my co-founder decided to do some free online Zoom calls and podcasts to support and just enable people. And it went mad. It's gone crazy. We've got 400 engaged in the network now since October last year, since we launched in October last year, and we're across quite a lot of different activities. We work in partnership with Maritime UK, both Lorna and Chrissy, and we're also now working in partnership with the Merchant Navy Training Board. How has it evolved? It started to evolve because we had a lot of senior influencers who saw the value of a network of marketing and business development people who could fulfill lots of gaps. One of those being actually raising the profile of the maritime sector itself outside of the maritime industry. So those senior influencers have come on board as an advisory board, and that's where we will in the future recruit corporate members. So I would love to talk to anyone who would be interested to join as a corporate member. For corporate membership, you get mentoring from outside the sector, so I can bring in people like the former CMO of Dell to mentor, or other senior influencers outside of the industry that can just bring a different viewpoint in. You also would get a gap analysis of your marketing business development activity to identify where you could make some quick wins, low-hanging fruit on how you can improve what's happening at the moment. It's really tough for anyone. It's tough for us as well. But those are the kind of benefits you would get from being a corporate member of OESMA. If I look at the other end of the spectrum, if I look at university graduate students, I've already done one careers event with Lorna to encourage the new talent to come in, because we're going to need that new talent. This is an industry that's growing. We're going to need new ideas, especially those that are really comfortable with using social media and all the new digital platforms to come into the sector and get involved with what's going on. So we can facilitate either looking at ocean sciences students that we might want to encourage to come into a marketing role, so we can upskill with marketing experience, or we can look at marketing and graduates, business development graduates, business graduates that we might want to bring in to the sector, but we need to give them upskilling around some of the topics that we're looking at, whether it's sustainability topics or whether it's digital transformation in the sector, whatever that might be. So I'm engaged, as I said, with Lorna on the careers. We're engaged with 6 universities at the moment. I've already reached out to Omar. I'd love to get involved with Portsmouth. I could offer apprentices. We've already signed up a university that can deliver apprentices fully funded for 8 weeks. And so that would be an apprentice that's perhaps doing a business qualification that you'll bring in that can look at perhaps your marketing materials and just give a different flavour of your marketing materials. Or as I said, it might be the reverse. It might be an ocean sciences student that you want to bring into your marketing team to bring some new, fresh ideas into and doing your marketing activity. So we're working at that end with the universities. And then we're continuing with the podcasts and the online learning development that we'll offer for the foreseeable future, free to consume. In the future, that might evolve in a different way. And I'd love to talk to Paul about that, about how we might evolve a learning platform in the future. But right now, it's free to consume as we develop content, all through a volunteer base. So that's me. I'm Melanie, and I'm from OESMA, and I'd like to talk to anyone who's interested in any of those topics. So please get involved.
Thank you, Melanie, and I'm very grateful for the support that you give me with Maritime UK nationally for the our Inspiring the Future Ambassadors scheme and the diversity stuff. Now we're in another meeting later on today, aren't we, talking about International Women's Day on the 8th of March. Yeah, just around the corner. I think it would be useful for us just to talk a little bit about the event that we did at Wyvern School.
Yeah. Okay.
We recently co-presented at a careers event at Wyvern School, just in the outskirts of Eastleigh. The whole of year 10 had been stepped down from their normal lessons for an hour or an hour and a quarter, something like that. There's 218 of them that were signing in, a vast majority from home. I think we managed to hold about 185 for the whole hour, which I was pretty impressed with, actually. And Melanie was one of the speakers. What we did was we did a maritime awareness session for year 10 pupils. I started off by doing my usual sort of breadth of the sector and all the different industries that are part of it. And then Melanie was one of our 5 guest speakers talking about your work in the marketing. But we also had a shipbroker there. We had a surveyor there from Lloyd's. We had a lady who runs her own canal boat building business and marina. Yeah. And a gentleman who is crew on a Stena Cross Channel ferry, who was a screen, actually. He started off by saying, well, you can see my picture, but that's not what I look like anymore. Here's my lockdown beard. But actually he'd still been going to work, but you just knew he'd connected with the young people straight away. It was a session where we gave them the oversight into the sector, but clearly we were talking about lots of different roles and those that young people wouldn't necessarily have associated with maritime, apart from perhaps the crewing chap, who I'm doing some more work with, actually, Melanie, because I thought he was a scream. I thought he was really good fun. He was talking about the camaraderie and the fun and games that they have on board apart from anything else, and he showed us a picture of one of those I can't think what they're called, in an emergency, break the glass to access the hammer, or open the cabinet to access the hammer to break the glass, which they'd replaced by cake for the captain, and there was a big sign over the front of it that said, in case of hunger emergency, break the glass. But that's an example of the sorts of careers activities that we can do locally. And I know we've had conversations about careers activity and helping young people to understand what is going on within the sector and just to open their minds. But what was great about that was we were talking about business services, and we were showcasing the land-based maritime roles as well as the water side, the wet side, the get your feet wet side. But I hope, Melanie, you would endorse that these things are really good fun, aren't they? The young people all wanted to know how much people got paid, and you all handled that beautifully by talking about entry salaries and apprenticeships and all the rest of it. But if any of you out there would like to get more involved, I know I bang on about this constantly, but are passionate that young people understand our sector better, there is a never-ending list of ways that you can get involved with careers activity with me to support the Solent specifically, but nationally as well. I'm already thinking that our first 2 speakers, Matthew and Ben, I need to talk to you two about bringing you together to do something about design careers in maritime, and I will be in touch. But we had great fun that day, didn't we, Melanie?
We did, yeah. I got totally floored, didn't I? Because they asked me what I didn't like and I couldn't think of anything.
Yeah, and some people get snobbish about, some people in the careers community get snobbish about children not wanting to know about money. It's about making a difference and getting a satisfying career and all the rest of it. Of course, the biggest difference between school and work is that you get paid. And my personal feeling is that's not a bad thing. Let them ask about it. Let them find out about it. We used to do an activity at Eastleigh where I used to get them to compare the average salary in different jobs and talk about why different jobs paid more and link that. Someone said earlier, I think it was Omar, you were talking about 8 years training for architecture. Link it to how long you have to train and how much study you have to do, so that young people are understanding that the more you put in, the more you get out. But so if any of you are interested in developing that sort of stuff, remember what I said at the beginning of the meeting about the insight days. If you can give me one day of your time, you don't have to have 20 children in your workplace. Obviously it'll all be done remotely, but and maybe there's 1 or 2 of you that could work together on developing that sort of thing. I really would like us to have a heavy maritime showing in this offer to the schools and colleges, because if we can offer that to the schools and colleges, then they will have a better understanding of what the sector is as well, and we all win ultimately. So I'll stop nagging now.
Laura, I'd just like to add to that, that this is the opportunity that COVID and lockdown has presented us with, is that it's easier to do. It's no longer a case of going into school and having to take a half day out. It's just a 1 hour out of your day. Or it could just be creating a case study that we socialise. I know there's a couple of people on the call that have done case studies for us that we're going to highlight next week and during Careers Week. But I think that's the opportunity. When I talk to universities now, they're really grateful for the opportunity to get people in front of the students that they wouldn't otherwise get, because those people just couldn't take time out of their day.
Absolutely. So. And you know, I say to people all the time, the jobs, the opportunities, the exciting careers in maritime, that's not the hard sell for me. The hard sell for me is to get people to understand what the maritime sector is. And the only way, because once I've got them, once they've bought into that, they just want to know about it. So locally within the Solent, we need to make sure that young people are coming through education, concentrating on their STEM subjects and all the rest of it, in order that that people pipeline is providing you guys with what you need for future talent. But the only way we can do that is by you inspiring these young people. And please do use the Careers Hub in Maritime UK Solent, and me as the programme manager for Careers and Outreach for Maritime UK. Anyway, I'm not nagging really. I'm just selling.
May I say something?
Yes, absolutely. Please do.
Hi, my name is Brett Trafford from Fawley Waterside. Everything we're doing within the Intelligent Merchant City is basically linking it to growth and prosperity. In other words, providing homes which are affordable and creating jobs. And we're working extensively with many of you within this room to try and do that. I speak at a whole range of universities, including Omar's, and Omar and I have spoken in the past. But particularly what I focus on is hope and belief. And the conversations that I have, and I've spoken in 17 universities from Imperial down to our own in the Solent, et cetera, and we're looking to create really a better place, a better Britain, a better planet. Every touch point of life is affected by digital. But particularly where we sit within our particular region, in this what I refer to as a Bay Area, we have this rare opportunity to create something that's rare and real for the Solent community, the young people, and the communities that we collectively serve. And I can tell you my feedback is, if you like, a mirror image. I echo what Lorna is saying, because the young people I speak to, I say to them, look, this is not a conversation, whether it's 20 people, 200 people. This is not a conversation, this is a conversation, it's not a lecture. I'm just telling you about what I know, what I think, having lived on the sharp end of a pencil all the time and retired in 2010, having sold a business to Apple. I know what it's like. It's basically about two things, because I asked them to give me a postage note at the end of every conversation I had with them. And they always come back with two things. They want a job, or a sustainable job, and they want to get into a home which is affordable. And I'm not selling Fawley now, I'm just selling the hope and belief vision. That is something that collectively we could work together to provide. And I, for one, I haven't spoken into too many schools, or well, in fact, no schools. I've spoken into one or two colleges, including, Totten and our own in the New Forest. And it is the same thing. It's about jobs. It's about hope. It's about giving them a future. And everything we're doing at Fawley is pointing in that direction. I know we're building the most intelligent city, the most connected city in the world, and we're doing it in a rare place within the middle of the New Forest. So it is for UK PLC, and it's something, as I say, we can learn from. We're going to create, with Portsmouth, with Solent and other universities, better place, better Britain, better planet. And we're going to give that to young people and get their feedback on what that might look like. We would have started it last year at Portsmouth, but I couldn't do it because of C-19. But it really is about engagement and getting them involved in there. It's not about me or Aldred or Paul Coppin, who's on this call. It's about the young people that are coming through in the future. And it's become even harder for them because of C-19. So if we can keep the message clear and we can sell, if you like, us collectively as a future, linking it to maritime and the work that we're going to be doing with satellite applications, all sorts of things, linking that to maritime, as Kevin and Lorna know, we would be delighted to participate. So yeah, happy to listen and sit on the call, and sorry for taking up a few minutes of your time.
Oh, don't apologise, please. Am I on? No, I'm not on mute. Don't apologise. That's great. We're out of time now, folks. So if I can just sum up then. So next month we're going to look, and it'll be the 17th. Next month we're going to look in a bit more detail at the Freeports bid. We'll probably have the updated version of the recovery plan as well. So I suspect it will be that would be the subject. I don't know about the month after that, but I would propose, I think this has been really useful this morning. So I would propose that we do this probably one meeting in 3. So those of you that didn't volunteer this time, perhaps you could, and you would like to share news and stories about your business and your organisation and how you fit into the maritime sector, we'd be delighted to have you. So where are we now? February, March, April. So potentially that would be the May meeting. So for now, I'll let you go. Thank you very much. Thanks for your attention, and thank you so much for all our speakers and the time that you put into preparing those presentations. Massively grateful, and we'll be in touch.